God, I tell you what, this week has been a headache. Really the last few weeks for that matter. So hopefully, episode 32 for the challenge series for what should basically be the world's greatest redemption arc in the form of the 680 Cup. I couldn't think of a name. There was no time to. I was too busy trying to save the series from sure destruction. Kinda important things, you know how it is. So let's just go into the first round before I start to dwell on what happened over the last week too early. Alright, we're here for the first round of the 680 Cup. It comes to you from Dragon Trail. Its default layout. Every race in the championship is a 4-lap event. Kind of standard fare for the challenge series at this point, if I must be honest. We already have a Spinala. Looks like Stephanie Kaiser got it all wrong. I should probably go back and look at that. What did you do? Where are you? What the... Ah! I have some questions. The POV car in this race, as I've spelled the number there, this is not a repaired Sil-80. This is just a brand new Sil-80. Yeah, I would say that relationship patched things up awfully quick, didn't it? From what I understand, this was mostly funded by Siegfried Brandt and by, to a certain extent, Thrasher himself. A new on-brand looking Sil-80 for Natsuki Narashi. And that is the racer we're following in this opening round, because they got the short end of the stick, as they're probably used to by now, and started in last, although this was a qualifying thing, so she just didn't have a very good lap. Probably getting used to the fact that this is now a 680 car, not a 640, and being a completely different model probably has a completely different setup to it. One would tend to assume if Siegfried Brandt is the one responsible for this car's setup, it's gotta be probably good, but a little bit white knuckle. Alright as I cut the camera away, and Tyler just forces himself onto the position. Just gives Natsuki a whack. And short tracks his way ahead of the Sil-80. Thinking she's not his biggest fan right now. No, the horn says a lot there. But a hefty outbraking move will get her back ahead rightfully of the Supra. Looking up the rest of the running order to actually, get a sense of who else is here. And Mitsuri put in the fastest qualifying time, so, as a result, she's on pole. Interestingly, Shaughnessy started in the front row with Nidori, making it a double Mitsubishi GTO front row, but she's plummeting through the order, while Nidori is managing the race from the lead. Oh, big curb for Thrasher, almost sends him straight through my dad. What the heck? Oh, hi Natsuki. He nearly has to run through Fidanzi to get to that point. Just went through wide through there and they made no contact. That surprises me. And more contact back here. Oh, really? Okay. Just passed in the death chicane. That's excessively rare that somebody gets away with that. Rollins in the Corvette looking... has the power advantage, but just doesn't quite have the nerve, can't quite find the right opening to go for. He like kinda found one there, but he chickened out on the brakes, so he couldn't make anything stick. Natsuki is now up to 4th, clearly not letting her suboptimal qualifying run stop her from doing anything. And probably also rather keen to impress the new team she's a part of. Honestly, I kind of forgot that was an arrangement until I looked at the quarter panel and saw Black Stallion Motorsports amongst all of the other decals on the car. Up to 3rd around my mom. Now it's only Nitori and Rollins to go. Quite an exit from the S's there, so she'll be ahead of Satoshi at the braking zone. Literally defends, but gets it wrong, I would say. Defends herself all the way to the fence. And Natsuki with obvious displeasure. I mean, no shit. She just straight up gets turned. Did he think he was clear and tried to cut back, I guess? But either way, that's quite an ugly stain on on his record as a driver who hasn't had much time to develop as a driver in the Challenge Series. That's not the best impression to make. Natsuki with renewed anger. What the heck? That was the most bizarre switchback I've ever seen. She is back to the tail of that dressed up Corvette. And she's probably looking to take the master position here. Or she's looking to just take his bumper off. That works too. More paint being traded. Gonna try the outside of the S's. This is gonna be a difficult one to stick. Has the inside here, but now is back on the outside. Rollins is not victorious. Natsuki with a heroic exit. There's still 2 heading towards the harbor. This has to get settled by the death chicane. There's no way that this continues any further from here. They continue to make contact, but Rollins muscles his way ahead before we reach the chicane. Probably for the best, even if it wasn't the cleanest way to do it. Natsuki much braver through the chicane, but just gets blocked off by the vet. They're too wide once more, heading towards the last turn. The inside lane for Natsuki might prevail just there. And that is going to claim it. Natsuki is going to get the win out of the last turn. And Satoshi and Maki will make up the podium. Maki, I believe, getting to a third place result from 12th or 13th on the grid. So she and a few others were pretty on the move. Stephanie recovered from her braking malfunction, or whatever that was in turn 1, to still take home 15th place. So, a small amount of damage limitation, all things considered. Who thought that camera was a good idea? We're green from the second race of the episode, which heads to Deep Forest Raceway. And this time the camera is on Maki, who seems to be taking a very, almost uncharacteristically passive approach into the first corner. Goodness. I found myself wondering as we were getting the next recording loaded up. I wonder how much more aggressive and mean-spirited that last lap battle between Natsuki and Satoshi would have been if Gina were still the leader. But, not so hypothetical. That Luther is out of here. Maki just drove into the wall. Coming feeds out of the tunnel. And, Tom was 4th place before this happened. And he just did too much on the throttle. And he has the worst rejoin in the history of circuit rejoins, collecting 3 people and stopping like about 8 others. This is just ugly decision making from the Countach driver. Kind of started to look like Hansen with that move. Second person that I have no doubt in my mind he does not like, but it's kind of true, especially considering that bit from Wayne happened here at Deep Forest. Not even 10 episodes ago. Maki is stuck behind Bradley Hunter, whose car is definitely more suited for a straight line than this. And apparently is also not suited to that corner at all. Maki's just gonna press her way into the position. And not waste any more time on this glorified dragster. That outdrags Nitori with relative ease. Stephanie is currently leading the event, probably wanting some big sense of redemption after her rather embarrassing Turn 1 crash at Dragon Trail. Nitori not in such a completely different boat either, wanting redemption after she juked herself out of her own shoes that same race, trying to keep Natsuki in her rear view and did too much mirror driving. Maki just got 2 places on 1 straightaway. It is so easy, apparently. Honestly, being... oh god. Knocked with a bit of understeer there, I think. Just slams into the door of Nidari's GTO. It's the kind of contact that, especially on a heavy all-wheel drive car, really isn't going to upset anybody. Or at least not upset anyone's cars. It might upset Nidari a bit. Speaking of upset cars, my gosh. Now, I guess we will see the obvious advantages of being one of not many drivers that managed to pull 500 plus horsepower into their 680 car. My dad ironically being one of the others, Stephanie absolutely not one of them. But, you know, the trade-off, her car is a bit lighter. Maki's car nearly weighs 3k pounds, same as my dad weighs over that. That Porsche is like 2,400 pounds. There's something like that, it's not much. As we begin the final lap at Deep Forest, Maki has a huge advantage over Stephanie, and it's a pretty simple move into T1. Clear well before we ever hit the brakes. Fedunzi has been on the move in a lot of this race. I don't believe she started all that high on the grid. May be wrong. I want to say she was outside the top 10 on the green. And now she may be looking at a podium if she can sneak ahead of my dad. Maki's got a decent margin, and with the amount of horsepower she has available to her, that margin should grow. Francesca is there, and my dad's going to be boxed in behind the Porsche. And in fact, runs into the Porsche in an attempt to outbrake the Testarossa, so at the end of the day, she's going to end up grabbing 2 places at 1 hairpin. She's not even that far from Maki. If there were another lap, maybe, who knows what could have happened. Maki planted through the final corner. She is going to grab the W at Deep Forest over her former team owner. Stephanie Kaiser completes the podium results. And my dad has been thoroughly robbed. Definitely the highs and lows of racing here. Natsuki finishes last after winning at Dragon Trail. The low horsepower value of her C80 at just a mere 334 not helping matters, as even Dom DePrisco, who spun on the first lap of the race, still managed to recover ahead of her. Quick glance over at the points table. At this point, Maki would be your points leader, seeing as she went 3rd place and then a win. So, next behind her is Fedunzi herself, who at this point is 34 with a 2nd place, well, not in that order, a 6th place and a 2nd place finish. But still doesn't quite hold a candle to 3rd first from Maserati. Your green from the 3rd round in the 680 Cup comes to you from the Barcelona Catalunya circuit, and the focus car, you can pick it on the crowd somewhere, is Dom DePrisco for this event. Fitting, as he seeks to probably get a bit of redemption after his rookie mistake early on in Deep Forest round. In Deep Forest round. I think you missed a word, me. Down the inside of Maki. Needs to about intimidate Snidry out of the way. I saw some grass up ahead being kicked onto the circuit. Maki's getting a bit forceful with Shaughnessy. Gonna be slow procession through turn 7. Dom grabs 2 spots through there. Nico tries to take one of them back, but she's on the wrong lane for that. Head of McIntosh. Gonna try the outside of the Corvette driver. And if the hairpin gets it, as Garrison is caught behind his Celica, while Dom was uninhibited entirely. Asher's horribly out of his line. Being forced up the track by my dad. And for this event, we get to use a new variation on the Catalunya circuit. We have removed the chicane. That is 3 wide, and Schwartz is not using his mirrors. But Dom struggles to make a decision, eventually goes to the far right of the 2 cars. More than enough speed to spare, gets ahead of the pair. I am now Dr. Seuss, or something. Asher gets a little nudging on the Countach, but ultimately is not able to keep pace. Dom obviously knowing that he's got to pull a couple of strings to compensate for scoring a mere 2 points in the previous round. At the moment, Pedunzi is keeping up her steadfast contesting of this title. Already second in points, only behind Maki, but Pedunzi is running in second place. Maki is running in 16th. So needless to say, Pedunzi is the net points leader right now. Dabrisco gets another Corvette around the outside and make it 2 for him in this race. Brad and nickel for every time I watch Dom Dabrisco pass a Corvette on the outside. There's 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice, right? Gets ahead of my mom, courtesy of the inside line. Proceeds to play the waiting game because these 2 are kind of in the way. Third exit allows him to just kind of blur past both of them. He's rapidly catching the lead pair. Pedunzi just gonna invite herself to the inside of the... I almost said Chevelle. It's not correct. Bradley had his way. He would have a Chevelle, but he couldn't find another one. He wasn't gonna change the size. He's leaving that as strictly a drag car. You can only bring one grip car to a race day. Let's ignore that. Dom gives the idea that he's gonna dive. Pedunzi cuts him, I think probably went wide to try and give space for a dive bomb that never happened. Speaks to the sportsmanship of such a driver. She's giving space to cars that aren't even trying to pass her. Now she is being passed, and Dom just sneaks up through turn 9, and Pedunzi will have any response to that. Try as she kind of did on the way in. Meanwhile, Stephanie's going to get to the inside of her buddy Akira, And grab P4. He just might actually. Just barely able to get enough exit speed to keep the Corvette at bay. I'm gonna back up control right now, and it's inputs. But the other one is charging, so I have no choice. Duprisco, well, nobody really had the best turn 4 there. Kaiser's just gonna stealth her way ahead. I mean, I say stealth, like there was anything subtle about that move, but she's gonna put herself in third, regardless. To red top 3. Akira is the head of a very long train. Hunter wants that podium spot back. He's gonna stick it down the inside of the Porsche. But he just doesn't really have the exit traction for that in something of this amount of horsepower. Just too much going on under the hood of that Nova to keep that car stable. But Dom Duprisco is certainly stable as he heads through the last turn. He's going to take the victory at Catalunya. A second consecutive second place. A second, if you will, for Francesco Ferdinand, and Satoshi Rollins actually got the better of Taniguchi at the tail end of the round. So now, taking a that was kind of rude, controller. Just turned itself off on me. Well, maybe I don't need you anymore. Looking at the points as they would stand here. Maki would lose a lot of ground, only grabbing 6 points here. She would have 44 at this point. Stephanie managing 42. My mom managing 43. Tied with Dedrick Schwartz, who's entered the picture with that result. Trishi Rollins at 41, but Verdunzi's currently on another wavelength, sitting at 53 points with, you know, 6th, second. We're already starting to kind of look at a runaway performance here, and we're only halfway through, technically. Can anything keep his Testarossa unleashed? What? No. Leashed. Opposite of unleashed. Keep it on a leash. Tie it down. Make it so it can't win races. It's race 4 and we hit up the Autopolis circuit for this one. And the focus driver is Akira Taniguchi in his Supra. One of the 3 that are here. We have all 3 generations, at least all 3 of the relevant ones, in play here with Akira's Mark IV, Tyler's Mark V, and Nico's Mark III, all on the grid. I think I just saw Akira just forcing his way around, getting 6 cars actually 7 in the span of one sector, more or less. Although Rollins is going to come back at him with the more the more linear exit out of that hairpin. So it'll be reduced to 6 places gained. Maybe only even 5. Your Schwartz fights back on the inside of there. But Kira's not done with that yet. He's actually going to get back ahead of the TVR. Stefan is going to give him the business, and Violetta Vegas, what was that name? Violetta Vegas is then going to insert herself into the picture and make up 2 places in 1 hairpin. I almost made this race 3 laps. I almost did, because laps here are longer than other tracks that have been run in this championship, but I'm just being consistent. My OCD wouldn't like it, so I didn't do that. It's not like it makes a huge difference in the world to these drivers anyway. 1 extra lap only starts to make a difference if we're getting into the 10s range, like, oh, are we doing 10 laps or 11? But that's not for a while. Akira with a huge run, which is promptly blocked off by Schwartz trying to make his own way through the field. Kaiser gives him the business. Luckily it's just white paint, it's not exactly fancy. What the hell? Keep it under wraps there, Akira. Every time this man lets off of the throttle, he engages a popcorn machine, apparently. As DeFrisco continues to rise and descend the Tower of Failure. Just once again, another hairpin getting the better of him, and he just loops it around. Once again, he rejoins like an absolute buffoon and nearly sends Nuri flying off the track. Any car that wasn't all-wheel drive and could remain stable in the grass would have probably also gone around there. Luckily, Nittori is driving an all-wheel drive car, so a bit of grass is not nearly as fatal to her as it would have been, say, to the car behind her. Really aggressive braking from Akira kind of misses the apex of that turn entirely. But he still manages to turn it into an attempt at an overtake on my dad. Although he doesn't quite achieve his goal. Not through there anyway, but through the next complex of corners, he might actually make it stick just by existing. They rub doors, but Akira is more bold on the outside lane and finishes the move, transitioning that into a send down the inside of Amy Shaughnessy. And the inside lane is just about king there. You can sweep around on the exit and cut off any hope of your opponent's momentum there. Nearly like able to hold hands, those two were going through one, but they survived. Now Akira has his last 3 targets in his sights. Tuners, muscles, exotics. Wait a minute. Big run on his fellow Super driver. Super does not like that turn, apparently. Engage the popcorn machine again. Just effortlessly outdrags the TTS as we delve into Sector 3 and Once again, Bradley running near the front. He's certainly been quietly making his rounds in this championship. Another one not so quietly. Fidanzi is still continuing her conquest. Maybe a little bit uncharacteristic against Shaughnessy there, but that's also just a really weird way to go at that turn. So Kira gets ahead of Bradley Hunter. My mom seeks to do the same. I don't think I caught him getting that pass done. Kind of, Hunter gets a bit out of shape through there. Gets really out of shape through there, rather. And Akira just sort of arrives on his inside line. And through he goes into the lead for the Supra. One of them. My mom endeavored to follow through and take second away on the outside, but did not manage. And then the top speed of the Nova is going to carry him back ahead of Mom. And Tyler's kind of in the catbird seat for when things like that happen, and my mom, I'm going to maybe guess misjudged a braking point. I have rightly no idea. This is a crucial pass to make for Fidanzi. This is kind of a championship rival. As much of a rival as Francesca has right about now, being X number of points ahead of everybody else. Hunter's visibly struggling. My brain is slowing down. Apparently, my mom is not slowing down. Yeah, you gotta shift there, Francesca. That's important. I guess, I don't know. He's driving like he knows the place, but I just don't see how that's possible. I don't think he's ever gone here before in a race. Oh god, oh that's a big tank slapper. Oh, goodness me. And that is a disaster failure. A disaster worst case scenario for Taniguchi, who has basically just thrown away the win with some careless throttle application. Wasn't really under pressure here, he just forgot to shift. And his acclamation of the situation came at a moment too late. Because by the time he realized he wasn't going to be able to just pin the gas and correct it, he was already way too out of whack. So, from a clear victory to an equally clear DNF, Akira gets nothing for his troubles, and it's going to be Bradley Hunter that'll take the win at Autopolis. My mom and Tyler completing the podium. Maki did manage to hold off Fidanzi, which will help minutely in this championship fight. Glancing at the points now. After another sixth place, so sixth, second, sixth. Fidanzi is now sitting at 68 points. 57 for Schwartz. 62 for Maki. My mom also relevant suddenly with 62 points of her own. 52 for Rollins as well. but that's still a 5 or 6 point advantage for Ferdinand going into this race. I think a top 5 would all but secure the bag for her. As I believe her closest competition at this moment is my mom. After her second place finish in this one. Bradley Hunter surprisingly is not relevant in this battle because he's had his last 3 races were solid, but he only scored 4 points at round 1. That's sort of derailing him quite a bit. So he's only sitting at 55 to Fidanzi's 68. Stephanie's 48. Maki's 60. My mom's 62. And the only one that's really relevant here is kind of my dad. Actually, not even my dad. No, I'm looking wrong. That's Rollins is the other one that's relevant. He's sitting at 52. Also worth noting, despite another embarrassing spin, DePrisco recovered for 12th place this time. So he's been on damage limitation, but he has been limiting it pretty well, unlike a certain Supra driver. It's the green flag for the final race of the championship, and bit of a technicality. I'm already showing my first bit of lenience as far as regulations go. We're keeping the category system, sure, but besides that, the guy totaled his car, but he's basically got a reserve driver in the wings that's apparently been waiting for a chance to join the series, but somebody didn't let his ass in. So go ahead, Noriaki, knock your fucking self out. We managed to find the vacated RX-7 lying around that Gina used to drive. Noriaki has certainly made it his own in pretty much every way possible. So there's some things on that car that just kind of look like cryptic, like abstract bullshit more than they do look like a car livery. Apparently he's more of a drifting guy. I guess, from what Akira told me, his car is getting fixed, so he can't run. So he's instead sort of just called upon his friend Noriaki Nakazato to sort of fill in for him. So he won't be scoring points for himself, he'll be scoring points for Akira, because this is technically just taking Akira's space on the grid. Normally in most leagues, to do that, you would have to at least be driving the same car as the other guy, but personally, I don't care enough for all those semantics. I just want there to be a 20th car on the racetrack. And, well, plus it's derailing, it's like defiling Gina's RX-7, which is really appropriate since Gina's the one that blocked him out of the series in the first place, because his 1996 RX-7 was not up to the regulations. So it was a drift car. Oh Christ! Just put racing hards on. It doesn't matter. It sure shouldn't matter, I should say, if it's a drift car or not. It's his funeral, his car insurance. Will they even insure a thing like this? I have no idea. Whoa, hold on to it there. Gives Pedonzi a bit of chin music. Almost gives himself a bit of chin music for good measure. A good run out of the toe. So he's gonna get Francesca down this little straightaway here. Set himself up for a move on Maserati ahead. As things stand right now, none of the cars ahead of Firenze, what was that name? Firenze on the leaderboard right now actually have any chance of taking the points lead from her. So the race could go right down, it could end right here and nothing would matter. Firenze would still be the title winner. She could stay right here and it wouldn't matter because the nearest person that was like close to her in standings, none of them are really up here. Maki's in the back, Bradley's in the back, my mom is near the back, Dedrick is at the front and he's like the only person that's even close-ish. Rocky briefly rubs fenders to the guy that technically invited him the first time, at the request of the Taniguchis, who apparently both are friends with Nakazato. BRX7 driver doing a bit more drifting coming out of the bus stop. Now he's the opposite of drifting, he's now understeering. And he's once again lucky to keep that car pointed forwards. Stephanie's obviously in no position to win the title from here, but obviously, you know, points or purse money is still handed out on a per race basis. So, and you know, bragging rights. You drive to win the race. So, Stephanie's, Noraki's gonna have to pry from her cold dead hands, which apparently he's done. And he's gonna get a bit of hooning while he's in too, I guess. Why not? I'm pretty sure, based on what he told me about his dip settings, I think Gina would have had a cow if she read them, because it doesn't look right. And somehow he's kind of making this thing look normal anyway, despite the fact that the differential is so asinine. It looks more like it should be a suspension setup, not a differential setup. The different numbers and values that was being shown on the keyboard. Like, what? What in the name of Keiji Shuchi are you thinking? But, I mean, he's in the lead, so I guess I can't. Not if he keeps that up. He's in the lead, so I guess I can't really question too much. Oh my word! Hey buddy, Need for Speed Heat's that way. What the fuck? This is like such a weird driving style. This car is getting loose in places it really shouldn't. And then in places and times where it looks like it should be about to lose control, it just doesn't. I actually wanted to move on Stephanie into the second to last turn. Doesn't find anything. Instead, Stephanie wants to move for the win into the last turn. She gets to the inside. Nakazato must have just missed the apex. And that critical mistake is going to cost him the win on his debut. So Stephanie Kaiser will grab the win at Watkins Glen. But even with this 7th place finish, which is, mind you, the lowest finish that Fidanzi takes in this championship, that's still enough to get her the title by 8 over Dedrick Schwartz. Looking at the final standings now, Fidanzi takes the title with 82. Then Schwartz at 74. Kaiser with that victory manages to crawl her way up to 3rd with 70. Maki with 67. My mom 66. Pitiful run at Watkins Glen shattered her hopes. My dad was 64, so my parents next to each other on the championship table. Bradley Hunter is 61. His momentum ran out after winning on top of us. Satoshi Rollins and Dom DePrisco tie with 60. Dominic definitely had a bit of a roller coaster in this championship. Kazuya with 59 with a very interesting looking points tally. His point scores were 10, 13, 12, 13, 11. So he routinely finished. He got 8th, 9th, he got 8th twice, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Always right in the middle, but never spectacular. Asher 11th at 58 points. Viola Vegas 12th with just 54. Nichiri Kawashiro, who was the pole sitter from Dragon Trail and was expected to be one of the big competitors of this championship, really just kind of took the wind out of herself when she sort of botch jobbed it at Dragon Trail in the first round, only scoring 51. Tyler at 46 for 14th. Out of those 46, 2/3 came in the last 2 rounds. Akira technically is credited with 15th in points at 44, even though 19 of those points were scored by Nakazato. Garrison at 38, Shaughnessy at 35. Natsuki down in 18th. She won the first race, but then proceeded to have three finishes in last place. So only at 26 points after taking 20 points home in the first round. At 18th place at the 4th round, her only even small highlight after winning at Dragon Trail. Flash in the pan much? Alyssa Weiss, who I routinely forgot was even in the championship, down at 19th with 19, and definitely one to forget for Nico, considering she's on what's been kind of a powerhouse team up to this point, Mercury Racing. A mere 16 points. That I don't think that that A80. I don't think that Mark III Super is really working for her too well. But that is going to wrap things up for the 680 Cup. Big developments coming in the next over this off weekend for the Challenger Series. By the time we talk next, there will be a lot of changes. Oh my god. I've got about 30 weeks worth of bullshit to reverse or fix or change or whatever. Insert synonym here. I have work to do. Me and Nitori and anybody else who may decide to appoint as a member of the administration to fill the void left by Gina getting kicked to the curb. But that's neither here nor there.